Hello. I hope everybody's doing well today. Hey guys, how you guys doing?
Great, fantastic. Can I just say congratulations to Hammer, who's just gave birth to a baby, and his wife supported him very well.
Woohoo! Congratulations.
Congratulations, Hammer. Brilliant, man.
Yeah, it's good. So guys, it's a new flat earther in town. Yeah. So how was your guys' day?
Good. Just I think it was just a lazy one for me.
Lazy?
Lazy one, yeah. The weather's not good. I was obviously wanting to go fishing, but it's not brilliant. So yeah, lazy one.
Yeah, we've at least had some rain kind of weather for the last 2-3 days, which is awesome. At least it's brought the cold here a bit, so I'm enjoying that. But it's still not very cold, so it's fun. So
I'm saying lazy, but I'm constantly on the phone. I can't get away from the phone because you know what I mean, on holiday and all that. So there's a lot of texting going on. So I can't if I wanted to do something, I can't really get away from the phone. It's one of them, isn't it? One of them.
So yeah, we got Paul in. We got Neil Constantino, Preacher Cookshack, obviously. The Hammer. Good to see you. Paula, haven't seen you in a while. It's good to have you in. She's just trying to sort out her mic, so hopefully she'll get that sorted out soon. And Michael Kahn, how you doing, mate?
I'm not bad, mate. Are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. So tonight is an interesting one. Have you guys ever heard of Professor Stick before?
No.
Never.
Well, he's got a large channel. He's got like 200k subscribers. And he loves to try and debunk Flat Earth, let's put it that way. And I emphasis on try.
No doubt.
So how do you debunk the nature of reality, Flatzoid?
You can't. You don't. That's the whole. I mean, look at when I was chatting with FTFE on Monday. He had to throw away all known physics because he doesn't want reality to be true. That's about it. So they love to throw everything away because they can't accept reality for what it is. Okay, so everybody in chat, it's good to see you. Got 26 votes. Professor Stick tried but failed. Yes, 42%. No, 58%. I don't know how people can vote if they haven't watched the video yet. But
yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
I know.
But who's all in there? We got PJ Cruikshank, obviously. Moxie, hello. Signastep, thank you for coming. Paul, good to see you. Michael Kahn, Jeff Conkle. Who else did I see there? Effie Nation, Derek Nelson, thank you for coming. The Adam Meekin, hello. The Jolly Man, and Level Up. Oh, why am I keep on pressing the wrong button? Okay. And Jolly Man, yeah. So, this is Professor Stick, guys.
Got a big old head, though.
Handsome fella, hey? He looks a bit anorexic and got a helium-sized balloon head or something, I don't know.
Big bulbous planet head.
Yeah. But, yeah, he's going to be trying to debunk Eric Dubay's latest video on gravity, on density, relative density. So that will be interesting to see. Larry Silverstein's Insurance, good to see you, mate. Thank you for coming. Glad you can make it. Okay, so since you guys haven't heard of him, I thought let's have a start and see what he says. I'm not going to just pause it every 2 minutes because I actually want him to get his arguments out. Hopefully he won't strike me. I don't think he will. But this is for Mr. Professor Stick. If you ever want to come and chat, please feel free. I definitely will love to have a conversation with him. Oh, speaking of that, you guys know Not a Professor Dave has accepted a live debate with Dr. Tora.
Really?
A live debate. So he's going to get his ass whipping.
Wow, he's getting brave, isn't he?
He's going to get an ass whipping, that guy.
Yeah, I bet he's got a load of help there in the background as well. He's got to help.
But you see, it's going to be live in front of people.
Of course.
So
Sorry. Yeah.
So he won't have any help. That is going to be very sad. So he's going to show his ignorance as usual. The only difference is this time he doesn't have a script to work off or people in the background helping him. Unless you get people in the back standing there with signboards. So that should be funny. Okay. You guys ready to start?
Yeah.
Let's
They
see.
just read what Derek says there. That's pretty good.
Derek Nelson says, the About Me section in Professor Stick's channel says he is dedicated to debunking pseudoscience. Exactly. Strange, since that is largely all he ever uses. Yep. He wants to debunk pseudoscience using pseudoscience. Hey, Charlie Gill, good to see you. Thank you for coming. Glad you could make it. But isn't that how it usually works with the Globe Defenders? We got science. You guys don't know what science is. You just have pseudoscience. Blah, blah, blah. And then all they do is bring up pseudoscience.
Exactly.
So I wanted to revisit this topic a little bit more because I think I have something new to say this time. Yes, you got that right. We're going to be talking a bit about gravity on the flat Earth and how it works, whatever that is. Of course, in real life, gravity as we experience it is due to the mass of the Earth, which attracts things to the center of it. It's also why things like planets are generally roundish, because gravity squishes it into that shape. Of course, a bit of an oversimplification here, but what I want to know is how flat earthers, with their density argument, can fit this into real life. And
What an opening statement. I hope you guys could hear that.
Oh yeah, I can hear it. Absolutely.
Indoctrination at its finest.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hold on a second. I'm being squished. Let me break free from being squished.
Okay, I found a few problems there from the start. Oxford Road, hello. He said gravity on the flat Earth. And then he wants us to replace gravity. And then he says gravity is mass attracting mass, but that has been outdated, superseded 108 years already. So the guy doesn't even keep up to date with his own religion. Really.
That's typical as well.
And the fact that he's like Derek says, he wants to debunk pseudoscience, yet he's just spewed pseudoscience.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And that's what we're going to find out today.
Long before the theory of gravity was a glimmer in Isaac Newton's imagination, the natural physics of density and buoyancy already perfectly explained why apples fall down. Quite simply, objects fall or rise based on their relative density to the medium surrounding them. Apples fall because they are denser than the air, while helium balloons rise because they are lighter. No gravity necessary. This is why raindrops fall down through the air, and air bubbles rise up through water. Everything seeks its relative density, and rises or falls until settling accordingly.
Okay, so we've seen all of this before, but I wanted to show you the clip anyway in case you've forgotten what their argument was. I mean, why would I? I don't find it entertaining, educational, nor worth my time. So
Don't find it entertaining, worth his time. Yet he's got a video dedicated to it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's not worth his time though. Yeah.
It's not worth his time, but he's not on screen. So yeah, that makes so much sense. Hey, Jonah Edwards, thank you for coming, mate. I think that's very plain and simple, just like Dubay said. It's cut and dry. So I still don't understand what's so difficult to understand. Hey, Inrem, good to see you too, mate.
before making this video, I actually simply just forgot what argument they made for why things fall to the ground. I completely forgot about this density nonsense. Anyway, the main argument I always use was, why do things go down and not up or sideways? Although this is the main argument I used, honestly, there are better arguments out there, which is why we're revisiting this topic again. Anyway, finally, a flat earther has responded to this, which we'll get to in just a bit.
Submarines float on the surface when their ballast tanks are filled with air. But when the vents are opened and seawater floods in, they begin to sink as the submarine's density becomes greater than water. We can also prove this fact of relative density by filling a plastic balloon with approximately half helium and half air. Since helium is lighter than the oxygen, nitrogen, and other gases that compose the air around us, filling a balloon with just the right amount of helium to compensate for and balance out the density of the plastic results in a gravity-defying, levitating balloon at equilibrium that neither rises nor falls.
Yeah, but you see, this is a useless idea to point out because it doesn't disprove the concept of gravity. In order for your argument to have any value, you need to provide something that not only proves your point, but also disproves other ideas that challenge your own. Actually, scratch that part about proving your own position. Show me something that disproves the concept of gravity, because...
Okay. Something that disproves the concept of gravity. I'm glad he realizes it's just a concept, because gravity is just a mathematical based concept in the fourth dimension. It's only based in an effect, not an actual observation. So therefore that's debunked. Because it's a concept based in the fourth dimension mathematical equation that you cannot observe because we are three-dimensional beings, and it's only mathematical based with an effect and no observation or physical attributes, it cannot exist. So therefore debunked.
Mhm.
What's the effect, Flatzoid?
There is no effect, but they say it's an effect. They say it only appears to fall. So like with this balloon now, according to general relativity, it would be falling to the ground as we are rising towards the earth. But this guy doesn't understand how this just debunked that as well. Remember, this is supposed to be neutral buoyant, in other words. So because it's staying where it is, let's say the ground is still rising up in their model. The balloon is staying where it is. Is the balloon rising up with the earth now? But staying in its relative position? No.
That's what Brian was
Exactly.
saying today. Actually, you're right on point. That's what Brian said today.
Yeah.
Everything has to stay where it is. If
Yeah.
the earth is rising up and there's no downward vector, then the earth should rise up to everything. So there should be no, what was he saying? No velocity rate going down.
Exactly.
He said something like if you was to drop a cup from a foot and then drop it from 10 foot, there would be no velocity to cause that thing to break.
Exactly.
Impact rate.
Exactly. That's because
You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
it debunks it, because from 10 feet, you drop a glass, that's going to shatter. From 1 foot, it might not even shatter.
That's right.
Yeah, but you see, that's the thing with general relativity. It's the ground rising up to the cup, not the cup falling to the ground. So the only velocity that there is the constant acceleration that the ground is moving up. So then it's not velocity, because I mean it's constant acceleration.
Right.
At
That's how,
9.8
that's how he debunked Dell today, I think.
Yeah. It makes sense completely, man.
But that's what I say. This neutral balloon that Eric put on here, Eric Debay, demolishes any argument that demonstrates an accelerating Earth. That's for accelerating flat Earth 2. Because I always have to go to paint. Ooh, I love crayon munching paint for the globies. Okay.
Anyway, I butchered that on Brian, so Brian would explain it a lot better, but that was the general gist of it all.
Okay. Let's take this as now the balloon. Okay. We say it's floating. It's floating there at with 0 net force. Okay. 0 newtons. So, according to general relativity, or the accelerating up Earth in the flat Earth model, flat Earth society, the Earth is rising upwards constantly at 9.8 meters per second squared, whatever. Now, if this ball is staying in the same position, because it's at 0 newtons now, it's at buoyancy, how is it not going down as the Earth is rising? So that means it's rising up with the Earth, and therefore not at 0 newtons. Now, if we have to take it that the ball is not at 0 newtons, but it is falling to the ground, it's still the Earth rising to it. The ball is not moving. It's at 0 newtons. So which way you look at it, it debunks an accelerating Earth. That's all it is. Because that balloon has to decide, why is it moving up at the same rate as Earth but staying that distance? Or is it deciding just to... that's why when it comes to this, you simply the only writing factor of this is the density. ratio to the medium. So the density ratio to the medium is whatever, because at the moment, it's Archimedes' principle. The medium is able to support it as it displaces itself with the medium. And that's why it has 0 newtons. It has 0 force. It's staying where it is. Did that make sense?
Yeah.
Until you do that, nothing you say has any value.
Skeptics often ask, if gravity doesn't exist, and objects simply fall down because they are denser than the medium surrounding them, why do objects of varying masses all fall at the same rate? If there is no gravity, why does a helium balloon fall down in a vacuum chamber?
Mm-hmm.
And without gravity, why exactly do things fall downwards when dropped, rather than upwards or sideways?
Yes, very good questions. So there are two main concerns here. The first one I've asked a lot. Why do things go down instead of any other direction? And number two, why is it that density doesn't matter in terms of the speed in which something falls? Here's a challenge for you.
Hey Tony Whitcomb, good to see you, mate. Thank you for coming. Okay, so he's given one argument, two arguments. What is the first argument again? Let's listen.
Concerns here. The first one I've asked a lot. Why do things go down instead of any other direction? And number two,
why do things go down instead of any other direction?
My helium balloon just went up.
Yeah, so, yeah, it doesn't just go down, exactly. They don't get the ratio determines the direction. So if the balloon is denser, it will sink because the medium cannot support it. If it's less denser, it will support it, and therefore it will go up until it reaches its based equilibrium point. I mean, this isn't rocket science. I mean, even their specific gravity is based on this principle. And again, I'm going to point this out to Ernie Glober here. Relative density, I mean, Archimedes' principle has been around at least 1,900 years before Newton's useless concept of gravity, guys. So you can't say, because it has density and buoyancy, which is Archimedes' principle, therefore you require gravity. No. Ships used to work before your beloved gravity got thrown into the equation. You don't need G to make it work. You just take that G and you can turn it to unicorn farts if you want to. Because it just has the accelerative basis. So you take that accelerative basis as G and you can change it to a brick. It doesn't matter. That's all it is. Yeah, you wanted to say something?
No. Sorry, I was clearing my throat.
Hey, Terry Winsor, good to see you too. And FP, good to see you, mate.
two, why is it that density doesn't matter in terms of the speed in which something falls?
Okay, so why doesn't it matter if density matters? What? The speed at which it falls. Because density is just an arbitrary unit that has been given to the amount of substance in a volume. That's why. If you are going to take, like we said, with one cup, it's got its set density. Put another cup, it's not changing the density, it's still got the same density because it's per unit volume. Now, you're changing the overall substance in the system if it's on a scale, but you haven't changed the density, you've changed the weight of it. Now, the problem the Globers have, and this is what I was trying to get to with FTV, he didn't click. You can't push gravity as weight because gravity is not a force, so you can't have weight in gravity. Weight is simply just a measure or calculation based on pressure on the scale, because remember, they love to say relative density disequilibrium doesn't have a force attributed to it. It does. Your specific gravity or your relative density you have isn't, because it's only scalar. Now, what does it mean with the scalar? It just gives a direction up or down. I would 100% yes, density gives scalar up or down, but that's only one part of it. That's normal specific gravity, normal relative density. Now, when it comes to relative density disequilibrium, that is what gives its scalar and vector. You have a vector because the object ratio, its density ratio to the medium, determines its vector and the force which is being applied to it to push through the medium. So yeah.
Here's a challenge for you. Take an object, maybe a rock or something, and let's say drop it at, I don't know, 1 meter high. Now, please calculate using your idea of gravity what the speed of that rock will be when it hits the ground. And then, of course, we can measure it multiple times to see if it's actually right. How are you, as a flat earther, going to proceed with this?
Easy. We just take the ordinary equations you guys use. We just change G with density ratio. Because all that is, that G you put in, is just the 9.8 meters per second squared that's falling down. That's all. So as soon as you just change that and take G away, because it isn't G to begin with, it's just a hijacking of the density ratio, we get exactly the same results. Hey, I will not take the jab. Get the jab. Good to see you, mate. And detect goods. Good to see you too, mate.
Of course, there's a famous constant we use, 9.8 meters per second
Told
to
you.
measure the acceleration of gravity. And when we use this equation,
Told you. So when you take the G, that constant, and you just change it to density ratio, which has the same value of 9.8 meters per second, it gives exactly the same result. No gravity needed. Hey, Titan Long, good to see you, mate. Thank you for coming. And became an alpha wolf. Wow, awesome. Thank you very much. Really, really appreciate the support. You rock, mate. Wow. Alpha wolf nogal.
10 out of 10 times we're going to measure correctly what the speed of that rock will be when it hits the floor and how long it will take. In this hypothetical example, it will take about 0.45 seconds and it will have a velocity of approximately 4.4 meters per second.
But you see, this is what you were saying, Neil. They can't have that velocity if it's based on general relativity. Because the object would not be accelerating. It would be the ground accelerating up towards the object. Only having the effect that looking like the object is accelerating down to Earth. Now, this comes back to the balloon that's at 0 newtons. It's at 0 density. It's sitting at its equilibrium point. What is happening? Is the Earth rising up to it? Or is it falling to the Earth? Or is it rising with the Earth? I would like the Globers to try and figure that one out. And then, yeah, use this equation and see if it's going to give you the result you want. It's crazy. Hey, Flat Sabbath.
Of course, it's going to be slightly plus or minus a small amount due to varying factors such as initial velocity and air resistance, but in general, that's going to be true.
Ooh, air resistance. So the medium makes a difference, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing I don't get about these guys. They take a vacuum and they say, you see, the things fall at the same rate in a vacuum, so therefore gravity. No, it falls at the same rate because there's no air resistance. It's because you're taking the medium away. What was the thing that you changed? The medium. As soon as you remove the medium, it's the thing that causes the ratio.
Obviously.
If you had to take that vacuum and let's say fill it with mercury, you're going to have an opposite reaction. Nothing's going to fall, it's going to rise. Now let's take that instead of mercury and add, let's say, saline water. Let's say salt water. It's still going to rise, or it's going to sit at its relative density position. Why? Because everything has got to do with the medium. It's got nothing to do with gravity. There's no pulling force at all. The only force attributed to this is the object that is forcing itself through the medium, or the medium having a greater pressure, which is forcing the object upwards to its relative equilibrium point. There's no gravity needed, no acceleration of Earth needed. It's simply just the ratio to the density ratios of the object to the medium. And that is what is the force. That's what the force, it's the pressure. It's the object's ratio, density ratio, which is the force. Original D Rose, good to see you, mate. Thank you for your $5 super chat. Really appreciate you coming, and thank you for your super chat. He says, not sure what is stupider, gravity being a force, Einstein four-dimensional time-bending garbage, or the flat Earth society, Earth rising up. I 100% agree with you, Original. I don't know why people will fall for the Earth rising up and anything. I'm going to go back to paint quickly.
We can't go to that downward anymore because in Einstein's gravity, it's space-time, right?
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It's just mathematical based in fourth time. Okay, look, this is like the flat Earth society bullshit, unfortunately, which is Dal is pushing at the moment. Dal said he wants to come chat to me about it, which I'll be so happy if he does. But this is now the flat Earth rising upwards, apparently. What's the problem rising here quickly, guys? First of all, you are conceding Earth is in space, correct?
Yeah.
So therefore, it's violating the second law of thermodynamics. Or unless, well, they already got their dome on, so it doesn't actually. But what's causing it to rise up? What is the cause for the accelerating Earth in space? Can anyone tell me? Or are they saying space is water now?
Well, it's just ridiculous. It's nonsensical. It doesn't make sense at all. It makes less sense than gravity.
No, but let's put it this way. Let's say we've given now them their domed space pizza going up. Now they have to say, okay, Earth is water. Space is water or a vacuum. Now, if it's water, and we're saying, okay, it's rising up due to its buoyancy, because it's like sticking a basketball underwater, it's going to rise. That already debunks their own argument that's saying, because of the acceleration, the buoyancy will give its ratio to its distinctions on what goes to down and upwards. And then I want to know, how high is this water that's going in? And how did it get to its place where it needs to rise? Also, a problem you have, if things start rising in water, it accelerates. So it doesn't have a constant velocity. It doesn't have a constant speed. So it has to change. So that also debunks that. Now, if it's in space, why is it rising up?
Hold on. Flatzoid, you just blew my mind. I didn't even think of that. If you're saying the Earth is accelerating up at 9.8 whatever, then you're agreeing to space.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You're right.
Absolutely.
Exactly. It's them
And with the
conceding.
water, and even with the water thing, it's like, how much water? Where's this water coming from? And what is the force that's making it go up? This water and pushing that buoyant flat Earth up as well. I mean, it's just ridiculous, isn't it?
And then are all stars accelerating at the same rate as Earth?
Well,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
The
just-
moon and all that.
That's why I say the flying pizza is actually more nonsensical than the globe.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say, but it's the truth.
Yeah, that was my point earlier when I says it makes less sense than gravity. You know.
Yeah. Okay, so now that's the rising up flat pizza disc in space, which is wrong. Now let's go to the globe model, okay? Now we got the Earth here. It's rising up constantly. It's a sphere, so that means it's got to rise in all directions constantly. What happens to a geometric shape when it rises all the time? It expands, correct?
Expanding, yeah.
Is Earth expanding outwards?
Not breathing Earth again.
No, Flatzoid, the universe is expanding. Come on. It's ever expanding.
Yeah, but you see, that's the thing. So,
it wouldn't have a constant radius then, would it?
but think about it this way. This is what's stupid about the globe model. Now, if it's accelerating outwards constantly, all the time, and it's based on the center of mass expanding outwards all the time, why does the radius stay the same? Oh, wait, because they say it's fourth dimension, correct? That means now all of a sudden it doesn't exist. Which is true, because it's a fourth dimensional mathematical construct that we can't observe. Now, if we are three-dimensional beings, how do you view something in fourth dimension?
Exactly. You can't.
You can't. So it's not observable, therefore it cannot be scientifically validated, because the first step of scientific method is to observe it in nature. Faciality, welcome, mate. Thank you for coming. Thank you for your $5 super chat. Really appreciate it. Said, if flat or globe Earth was rising up in a vacuum, it would have crashed into ceiling long ago, because vacuums need containers as well. Brilliant point, yeah. Faciality. Yeah, thank you very much for your super chat. I agree. Yeah, where's the ceiling? They would have hit the ceiling by now. And then Original D-Rose, thank you for your $2 super chat. He says, fellas, by George, I've got it. The sky is falling.
Oh, wow.
Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it. That was good. So, yeah. But like I said, Dal does want to come and talk about this, so that'll be great conversation. And that's probably what I would ask him. Where is Earth situated, and what's causing it to rise, and how's it rising? And there's just too much holes in it. It just can't work. Okay. William Winsbury says, except that it's the most validated scientific theory. Sorry, I've never seen one scientific hypothesis for gravity in existence, ever.
Maybe you can walk us through it.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, look, when I ask even the anti-flat earthers, they aren't able to give me a coherent hypothesis. Why? Because it keeps changing, because it's pseudoscience. It's not scientific. There is no science. And based on general relativity, remember, it's based in the fourth dimension mathematical construct. So that means us three-dimensional beings can't even observe it to be able to have a hypothesis to begin with. You first have to observe a natural phenomena and then create a hypothesis. Without the observation, you can't have an hypothesis to have an experiment to validate it. Very, very simple. And to have a scientific theory, it means it's been validated countless times with experiment. Maybe learn what a scientific theory is, will you? Hey, fish out of water, good to see you, mate. Thank you for coming.
And using this equation and the acceleration of gravity, we can change the object and change the height, and that will always hold true as long as we are on Earth. So you literally cannot get away from this equation. If I asked you to calculate the time and speed, just like I did above, you will have to use the same equation, because nothing else works, and that equation is dependent on gravity. Okay, you might say, that 9.8 meters per second is not gravity, it's just the property of density, or whatever the fuck that is. Okay, let's give you that for the sake of argument. In that case, where is density in this equation?
Easy. Take the G away and put density ratio. Did that answer his question? The density ratio would give his accelerative numbers.
Where is it? Because it's not there. You'll notice that we can always calculate the speed of an object upon hitting the ground and the time it takes to hit the ground regardless of the density of the object. It doesn't matter, which is why a golf ball and a bowling ball will hit the ground at approximately the same time if dropped from the same height.
Yeah, because it's the ratio. What did I read? Oh, Richard G, good to see you, mate. Thank you for that. Dell, he's from Beyond the Imaginary Curve. And by the way, guys, I got nothing against Dell. I still think Dell is an awesome guy. I think he's just a bit lost at the moment. That's all.
Well, he believes in this upward flying, spinny Earth thing, flying Earth thing, not spinny Earth, flying flat Earth thing. Then he's got to be.
Yeah, I just think he's a bit lost. I really don't think he is Flat Earth Society shill kind of guy. I just think he is a bit lost. That's all. I think he's done this thing, and in his mind he's saying, "Oh, hang on, I've figured out the mechanism for why we have the density compartmentalization. Why the dense is at the bottom and the less dense at the top, and that's how he's put into his head, but not understanding the issues that it puts on."
Yeah. Yeah, some people do get a bit lost. We've all been lost.
Mm-hmm.
Suppose you drop a golf ball and a bowling ball from the Empire State Building. Which hits first? Answer? They hit at the same time.
Why would they have to do that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because they have the same force through the medium. Now remove the medium, they do exactly the same. Now, what would happen if you stuck it in let's say, saline water, for instance? The golf ball will probably float while the bowling ball will sink, correct? Mm-hmm. What did we change? The medium.
Medium. Yeah.
Medium.
I said medium, didn't I? It didn't come out right. I was sucking my thumb.
Because this is one thing that he even conceded earlier that it would change relative to the medium because of air resistance. So he actually conceded that the medium has an effect on its velocity. Whoopsie. Yeah.
Let's see what your response to this is.
Whoa. He says, let's see what his response to this is. How does he respond to something if you've already made this video and you are commenting on his video? Does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense. Oh, dude.
Wow, Professor Stick's not a really bright professor, is he?
Well, a head that size, surely he must have some brain.
No, Terry, the density ratio is simply got to do with the scalar. So if it's denser ratio to the medium, it down. Less dense ratio to the medium, up. That is what the density ratio gives you. Now, the force is the object's movement because of its greater pressure forcing itself through the medium, which gives its acceleration.
And an anvil will both fall at different rates because one is radically denser than the medium surrounding, air, while the other is not.
Well, that's actually not true. The feather falls at a different rate because of air resistance. The feather is designed to catch onto air and keep it afloat, whereas an anvil does not, which is why...
So then you just debunked your whole argument, Professor Stick. Congratulations. Yes. The feather is not designed to go through because what? The medium. Now what happens when you take the medium away? They fall at the same rate. Okay, so what did we change? The medium. So you debunked your own self here and actually validated Eric Dubé. Congratulations, mate.
if you drop a feather in a vacuum chamber, it falls at the same rate.
See what I'm saying? What did you do in a vacuum chamber? You removed the medium. This is how dumb these guys are. They say because of gravity that's happened. Okay, let's take this with a scientific method then. What was the IV that was changed here when they put the boiling ball and the feather in the vacuum? What IV did they manipulate? Would that be the medium? So the IV for the DV was medium. Whoops. So it was the ratio density ratio to the medium that gave its vector, and then the acceleration was due to the object forcing itself through the not medium anymore. And that's why you have the same accelerative units, because there's no resistance. Congratulations.
But even if we don't use a feather, again, a golf ball and a bowling ball will fall at the same rate as well, so your statement is just false and misleading.
Imagine a dandelion seed and a brick, or a piece of paper and a boulder. These examples, and many others, fall at drastically different rates, debunking the supposed uniform speed of acceleration due to gravity of 9.81 meters per second squared.
You are literally taking examples of objects that would drastically be affected by air resistance. A feather, a piece of paper, and a dandelion seed would all be greatly affected due to the design of those objects catching as much air as possible when it is falling, which is why this is completely dishonest, because air resistance should be held constant for both objects if we were to honestly experiment this. Of course, a golf ball and a bowling ball will be affected by air resistance differently, but the difference isn't too significant, which is why we can use these objects, and that's why they hit the ground at the same time as I mentioned earlier.
And therefore debunking yourself. Congratulations. Hey, Trinity4, good to see you, mate. Thank you for coming. Glad you could make it. It's crazy. The guy just debunked himself again with his word salad. He did a Witsit on himself, guys. It's so dishonest to use densities with each other because density is the reason why it changes its ratio. Yeah. So in other words, keyword here, when you say air resistance, the keyword is medium dependent. Let's take a bowling ball and a feather again. We're going to drop the bowling ball and a feather in air. The bowling ball drops and the feather takes its time to go down. Eventually will hit the ground. Now let's do the same in water. The bowling ball drops through the air, sinks in the water. The feather takes its time through the air and finally lands on the water but doesn't sink. Now we take them both and drop them in a vacuum. They both fall at the same rate. What did we change on all three so-called experiments, guys? The medium. There we go. Sorry I have to repeat myself over and over, but it's just something we have to hammer into these guys' heads. The medium is the cause of the acceleration. No medium? If you don't change the medium, you won't get the effect you require.
In a vacuum chamber, the medium of air is removed completely. So all objects, including a feather and a bowling ball, will fall at this same maximum rate.
Yep.
By removing the medium from the equation altogether, all objects, including a helium balloon, will fall to the ground simultaneously. Without any medium to move through, the fall rate of all objects is indeed equal. But this has nothing to do with some mythical attractive pulling force, and everything to do with the fact that the density of the surrounding medium has been reduced to zero.
There we go. Plain and simple. Well done, Eric Dubay. He's actually said it well. Hey, Dala, good to see you, mate. Thank you for coming. Glad you could make it.
Therefore, in reality, since a feather, bowling ball, or anything else inside a vacuum chamber is infinitely denser than empty space, which has a density of 0, it all falls at the same rate of 9.81 meters per second squared.
Ah, I see what you're trying to do here. So now you're arguing that because in a vacuum chamber there's no medium to travel through, everything falls at the same rate, and you're treating the non-existent medium here as a density of 0. First of all, that doesn't explain why a golf ball and a bowling ball hits the ground at the same time.
What? So
what is he talking about?
So he just says nah. That's his argument, guys. That's his rebuttal.
Yeah, that's it.
This is the thing we've been saying for all the years. It's the medium. You took the medium that supports the object away. If you take it away, there's nothing to support it, therefore no air resistance, nothing, so it's going to fall at the same rate. There's no gravity needed. There's nothing to do with gravity. So what's his rebuttal? Nah,
Uh-huh.
No.
Uh-huh.
As I mentioned earlier, since they're both moving through air and the bowling ball is much more dense. Second of all, the fact that you're treating a non-existent medium as zero density is just ridiculous. In that case, let me propose another question to you. We saw the feather and the ball fall at the same rate, and treating a non-existent medium as zero would technically make sense in your density argument, but what if we replace the objects with air? By your definition, air is at least denser than nothing, so in that case, air should fall to the ground. Or if you're so
What? Air should fall to the ground. So this guy's saying, Nathan, this guy's saying gas go down, go boom boom.
He absolutely isn't.
And by the way, he's actually also debunked himself. This is why you get CO2 pooling and stuff. And like if you take a fish tank with sulfur hexafluoride, it's denser, so it takes longer to disperse. Longer, mate. You know what the arrow of time is for? So when you have CO2 pooling, they don't just leave it there for indefinitely. It still disperses. It just takes longer because it's denser. Just like sulfur hexafluoride in a fish tank, it takes longer to disperse because it's denser. It still does disperse. It doesn't stick there indefinitely. Now, according to gravity, it should be staying there indefinitely. It should never ever leave the system. But yet it does. I don't know why this guy's called Professor Stick, to be honest. He's not much of a professor. He reminds of Professor Full Bell, to be honest.
nitpicky about the difference between an object and a medium, would helium also just hit the ground since it is denser than, quote, nothing? You used it in a balloon example earlier after all. And then
Okay, let's put it this way. If you have a helium balloon, it's going to sink in a vacuum because there's no supporting medium. Now let's pop that balloon. The vacuum will no longer be a vacuum. It will have a higher pressure now because the helium that was in the balloon will fill the available space. It will not sink to the ground. The balloon itself has weight. Correct? The balloon itself has its own density. There's substance crammed into that volume. Hey Rachie, good to see you, mate. Thank you for coming. Yeah, but Rachie, the thing he's making our point. He's saying, oh, so this is the reason, but nah. He's just hand-wave dismissing it while he's debunking himself.
Flatzoid.
Hey, Adam, how's it going, mate?
All right, mate. I got triggered. This video.
That's good to have you.
He just attacked us. If we put air in a vacuum, why doesn't it go down? That just demonstrates his weakest point.
Yeah, exactly.
So first of all, he wants to deny gas behavior, but undermining this, it shows his mismatch, because weight is mass times gravity in his world. Those gas particles have mass. He's just claimed that gas goes down, go boom boom, or he's just debunked himself and denying gas behavior. The choice is his. But yeah, end of my triggering.
Yeah, but just before you went in, I don't know if you heard, I actually just said that.
Well, that's the lag. That's the lag. Sorry.
It's true.
But it was such a triggering, you see, that it kicked me off. Sorry.
But you
it
see,
happens, man. It happens.
But Adam, you see the thing. This is the problem. We get the fundamentals of these guys. They don't understand. They debunk their own arguments when they try and bring their gravity up, because they actually prove it to be wrong at every turn. They're showing us it's just hijacking actual mechanisms that have scientific validity to them. It's crazy.
Sure.
But yeah, I want to know how someone can weigh a gas. You can't. You can calculate it.
It's impossible.
You can calculate it with containment. Because what they do is they take a container, they weigh the container on a scale, and then they fill it with gas and say, you see, it's heavier. Yeah, but you're calculating the weight, the extra substance that you put into that containment. And by the way, a scale works with a load cell. A load cell is simply just the pressure forced on that load cell. It's not gravity. There's no such thing as weight because of gravity pulling. And again, gravity is not a force, so it can't pull anything. It's simply the object forcing itself on the scale. Therefore, relative density to equilibrium has a force mechanism to it.
And if you think about it, everywhere on Earth is like that. If you're in a room, even if the room is empty, technically it's still air versus the non-existent medium, in which case air should always just fall and stick to the ground according to your definition.
Nope. No one's definition it should stick to the ground. Gas is definitely a unbonded, homogeneous, as we say. It's moving in all directions constantly. It has elastic collisions. It can only change direction with a collision.
Yeah.
Now you can change its velocity with gas behavior, like temperatures change and pressure and volume and stuff, but that doesn't change its direction. The direction still goes where it needs to go. Yes, go on.
No, I didn't say anything.
Yeah, because that's how I got Professor Phil Bell to concede pressure gradients is caused by gas behavior, not gravity. It's crazy.
But yet, that's not what happens, which completely destroys your position and how you're thinking about feathers and vacuums earlier.
He just projected his own nonsense onto us, by the way. Because he says, according to us, gas should pull down at the bottom. That's not what we say. That's your guys' claim. That's a globe claim, correct?
Yeah, of course.
Because they claim density, the density gradients is because of gravity. So therefore the dense gas has to lie down and pull at the bottom. That's their claim. That's not our claim. We don't throw gas behavior away. They do. So why is he projecting this onto us?
As for why objects fall downwards when dropped, rather than upwards or sideways, firstly, there is a pressure gradient formed by the amount of stacked air, water, and land over you in a column.
This I have to disagree with Eric Dubay, though. The way he explained this, yeah, I'm not really on the way he explained this, I would say. Hey, Slip Radar, good to see you, mate. And Maker Ray, hello.
Which increases the pressure, weight, and density the farther down you go, and that defines direction.
No, the pressure gradient is determined because of that force. It's not the determiner of that force's direction. Whatever the force is, call it gravity or density difference or whatever, it creates that pressure difference because it's pushing everything towards that direction, not the other way around. If you truly think that this so-called pressure difference determines the direction, then tell me, why is the pressure gradient in this direction specifically? Why is it that downwards is higher pressure and upwards is lower? And even if that's just magically the case without any explanation, why does that even determine the direction of which objects fall? Scientifically speaking, logically speaking, how does that determine it at all?
Very simple. First of all, I agree it's not like Eric Dubay says, we have columns. We don't have columns of air and rubbish. Dalton's law does exist, guys. It's a conglomerate of gases. The lower you are, the more gas there is hitting and colliding with each other constantly. So therefore the pressure is going to be higher. That's how it works. There's more surfaces to hit. There's more collisions all the time. There's just more gas. There's more amount there. So that's why you have your pressure gradients. Now the higher you go up, the wider the area, the lower the temperature, the less amount there is. So therefore you're going to have less pressure. That's how it works. There's no such thing as gas go down, go boom, boom, or whatever. Now, according to gravity, they say, ooh, it's pulling gas down, and therefore that is why the pressure is greater now at the bottom. Now they're going to say, okay, but let's go to the sea. The lower you go, the greater the pressure on you. Yeah, the greater the pressure on you is because you got more substance around you. Remember, when you go down in the ocean, you don't have the ocean just pushing up from under on top of you down. You got the pressure coming from underneath you, from on the sides of you, all around you at the same time. Gravity is only one vector. Gravity is from up to down, correct?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let me try and explain it. Let's do like a fish in a barrel kind of thing. Okay, we're going to take this as the ocean. This is now the ocean, guys. And we're going to throw a barrel down in the ocean. Now, this barrel is just there, and it's going deeper and deeper as it's going down, sinking to the bottom. Now, the further it goes down, the higher the pressure. Where's the pressure coming from? Yeah. There. Pressure's coming from every single direction. And it's pushing on it. It's forcing on the object in every single direction. Is that what gravity says happens?
No.
No. What does gravity say happens, guys?
It's one way from up to down.
Exactly.
One vector.
Gravity
one
says
direction.
the further you go down, the more pressure is being pushed from the top. That's why they have their columns. So they can't say, oh, but there's pressure from here, or there's pressure from there, or pressure from here. Has anybody seen what happens when they throw, let's say, a container drum in the bottom of the ocean and let it sink?
It would implode, wouldn't it?
It implodes from the sides, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the weakest part of the structure. Now, that wouldn't worry or anything if it was just pressure from the top, because it would push that as a whole down until it finally hits the ground, and then it would only start to crush it like a tin can.
Yeah.
But that's not what you see. That's why when a submarine goes to a certain depth, it can't handle the pressure anymore. They have to rise because it pushes all over from every single side. Gravity doesn't exist, guys. Sorry to tell you. It's a made-up pseudo-scientific belief because there is no science for it, and it's based on them claiming science. And yet we have no observable phenomena to even have a hypothesis for it. They've taken a natural law, a natural tendency of things to fall because it's denser, and call it gravity and say it's science. That's the sad truth of it.
Yeah.
Secondly, helium balloons fall up, not down, proving there is no downward directional bias.
No, but there is. Helium balloons go up due to your definition because it's, quote, less dense. Why do more dense objects go down and less dense objects go up? This is clearly a situation in which a direction has been strictly established.
Yeah, because of the density ratio. But that shows there's no such thing as a bias. Now, usually based on what we see in reality, most things are denser to its ratio than the medium around it. That doesn't mean there's a downward bias. That just means there's more of those denser objects in relation to the medium than there is of the less denser. There's gravity in space vacuum Earth, but not in water. Wonder why that is. Exactly, Tony. Exactly. Hey, Charlie Walsh, good to see you, mate. Thank you for coming. I mean, this is like, I don't know. The gravity argument is actually getting very, very weak as we go along with these guys, as we are breaking it down more and more concisely for them. But they're sticking to the same 2014 arguments. They're not progressing with the times.
Yeah, like you said, very weak. Like gravity itself. Weak. Strong enough to hold seas, but not strong enough to hold a bird to the ground, you know, or a feather.
Yeah, and then they can say, but because it's the mass.
Oh, of course, yeah. Of course, the mass.
You can also prove this point by throwing various kinds of rocks, including pumice, into a pond.
Gas always fills a container slip. Always. That's what gas does.
All rocks, excluding the pumice stone, will sink to the bottom. But then when you throw in the pumice, it will rise right back to the surface. This is because pumice has a density less than water. just like helium balloons have a density less than air.
Okay, you're literally just repeating the same point over and over again without actually answering the question. Why do more dense objects move down instead of, say, sideways?
Simple. Because of foundation, because of its equilibrium. When something is off of its equilibrium point, it's going to go down. Why? Because it cannot support it. This is why I asked FTF as well. Guys, where do you build a foundation for a building?
Ground.
Yeah, you don't build a foundation on the side. Why? Because the natural tendency, aka natural observed phenomena we usually see, means it goes down. That's its relative direction, up or down, based on density. It's idiotic to say why not right or left, because that is not the natural tendency of reality. You need something to support it, which requires up or down, not left or right. This is why it's really stupid to actually ask a question, why not sideways?
It makes so much sense. You know what I mean? I mean, that question doesn't make sense. This makes so much sense. What you said, what you're explaining to them. The question shouldn't even arise. Why left or right? Why not left or right?
Exactly.
You know?
It's just an idiotic question. They're trying to take things that we are observing in nature, which is seen just like it's a natural tendency, so it's a natural law, and they're saying, oh, but I don't want it to be that way because of that, so it must mean it can fall sideways or something. No, that's no one says it needs to fall sideways. 24. Craig FTV bounced on your last into debate with Bro Sanchez TV, citing some down hypothesis excuses for gravity. He'll never ever concede. His stake in the globe is too big. I agree, Trinity. He is a full-out glober, guys. But that's Craig. He will never change. That's where he gets his money from. Even if he has to concede like he did with me on Monday, where he had to literally throw actual physics away, he will never concede about it. And the sad thing is his globe defender gullible audiences will always support him because the cognitive dissonance is just too great. They can't accept reality. We can't do anything about it, unfortunately, but we can just carry on. That's all we can do.
What's determining that direction?
Their relative density, being lower than the medium surrounding, causes them to rise, just as things with a relative density higher than the medium surrounding causes them to fall. This is...
And there he just answered him. Just like we're saying, it's just the density, object to density to the medium ratio. That's what causes it to rise or fall. That means up or down. It's based on observations that we've seen for centuries. It's a natural tendency. It's how nature works. Donkey. Okay. Hey, facial. Globe agenda is all about money and deception. I agree. Mandela Effect Jonathan Bradley. Long name. Good to see you, mate. Thank you for coming. Ooh.
I think Bardsley.
Bardsley. There we go. I just usually call him Mandela, so good to see you, Mandela. Thank you for coming. Okay. We're going through this video actually quite quickly today.
Yeah, quite quickly.
All perfectly explained by the natural physics of density and buoyancy, which was well known and understood long before Sir Newton renamed and remodeled it to fit with his heliocentric theory of the cosmos.
Okay, so you just dodged the question and didn't answer it whatsoever.
How am I going to place it to you? How can he dodge a question if his video was made before you actually commented on his video?
Exactly, he keeps doing that, asking questions like he's meant to answer it, and that video predates the one he's making. Ridiculous, isn't it?
It's crazy. Hey,
Tools,
good to see you. Original D's Rose, thank you very much for your $5 super chat, mate. He says solid mass golf ball and solid mass bowling ball dropped via air medium. What about liquid mass water and golf ball, bowling ball dropped via air medium? Yeah, so the medium changes it. So, let's read this again. Solid mass golf ball. So, it's a solid ball and a solid mass bowling ball. So, it's a golf ball and a bowling ball. Okay, they dropped in air. Okay. Now, what about liquid ball and a liquid golf ball? Liquid bowling ball and liquid golf ball dropped. It's just going to have different densities, but they're still going to have the same effect, though, because it's still just the density to medium ratio, which it gives its vector up or down. What hits surface sooner, water or balls? Thank you for your $2 super chat. I think it will depend. The water or the ball, I think it's got to do with how much air resistance is and how much water maybe it is. Because
you ever took water out of a window, Flatzoid?
Oh yeah.
Did it ever stay together?
No. That's what I'm saying. It all depends, though.
Yes, that's why it's so hard to hit your mates with a bucket of water from 2 stories up, because it scatters.
But I mean, think about it. Let's take a ping pong ball and fill it with water. It's got a container to hold the water in, but that water's still gonna slosh around inside that ball.
Of course.
Yeah.
I was going to say, we just got somebody come in chat called Hooli. I don't know who Hooli is. Do you?
No idea. But almost we've got like 49 seconds left, and then I was going to open the panel anyway if people want to come and chat. So
cool.
Good to see you, Hooli. Sorry, we're almost finished, mate.
I guess flat earthers are good at that. Yes, we've heard you explain your stupid density argument a dozen times already. We just want to know how direction is determined and why more dense objects fall downwards instead of any other direction. You can't answer that.
I just did a couple of times, and he actually just answered it as well. The density tells what direction. If it's denser, down. If it's less denser, up.
Because there is no answer. Because your entire model is wrong. Learn to take the L instead of making...
What model?
And it's always that, isn't it? Your model is wrong. What model are you talking about?
I love how he's just declaring, just take the L. But he's the one conceding that his gravity is not working. This whole video was actually him debunking gravity, by the way, and showing that, yeah, it's all just density. Congratulations, mate. The sad thing is these guys don't get even their gravity is based on density. If there was no density, they wouldn't have gravity in the first instance. The whole premise falls under the density relationship. That's what the gravity is based upon.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Explanations that completely dodge the question. You'll only appear to be more stupid that way.
How did he dodge a question? He made the video first. You are commenting on his video after. If you don't have the mental capacity to understand you asking questions after he recorded the video and expecting him to answer you. Wow.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and thank you to Fireshard, Alan Morton, Miss Fixit, and...
So yeah, that was Mr. Professor Stick.
Next week he will be debating Kent Hovind in 1989. Brilliant.
Hey, Hooli, good to see you, mate. How are you going? Let me see if I can get that up again quickly. Where's that? Sorry, I'm just trying to look quickly for the link. But yeah, Hooli, can you hear us?
You're on mute anyway, so you need to unmute yourself if you're talking.
Maybe he's having issues.
See if there's anything written in chat. No.
There we go. Oh, I just had it, and then it went away. So, Adam, what do you have to say on this whole thing?
I was just reading Rachel's comment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to read it, or do you want to?
No, go ahead. It's fine.
So, at Flatzoid's perspective, but why does more dense go down? Why not sideways or up? It can't be supported in any direction, so why down? That's a legitimate question, and the point that's been made here.
That's the point I made the whole time.
What came first, the way stuff fell, or the definition and the wordage we use? If stuff fell left, everything would be collecting on the left, which would instantly assume you would have defined it as down, not left.
Yeah.
So it's kind of circular logic. But it comes back to what I was saying this today to the guys. Comes back, whether it's upward acceleration or whatever, you're trying to invoke a force at some point to give you an explanation. The simplest answer I have here is this is a natural law. Mm-hmm. And if you want to step outside why down is defined as down, you've got to do a lot better than invoking a non-force force to explain it when it's perfectly explainable with density and buoyancy,
Mm-hmm.
And relative density disequilibrium. These things are perfect. Now, does that mean you have a overreaching understanding of how God created up and down? No. But it doesn't mean you have to settle for second best and accept gravity or an upwards accelerating Earth.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I was trying to explain. It's all just based on natural tendency. It's a natural law. That's how we have up and down. So I said, if you build a foundation, it's at ground level. That's what we observe. I mean, that's how nature works. Just like if we have entropy. Why does entropy exist? It's because it's how nature works. It's a natural law. It's a natural tendency. Now, if I have to go and say, oh, but I want you to explain why entropy exists, that is just nonsensical. It goes against all logic. It defies why. You trying to go, why does it exist, instead of, yeah, it is a natural tendency in the first instance, and this is what happens because of the natural tendency. That's why we have up and down, because the density ratio based on the natural tendency, the natural law, is why we have it up and down. I think. Sorry, just going to read.
Hot go? It's the same point. Is why does hot go to cold? I don't know. Yeah, that's all I can say. It's a natural law. I can't even deal with it in science. And
exactly.
And you have to have that level of acceptance. You can make the theological points. Why doesn't it go left? That's because you don't need things going left. Need to be pushed left.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's right. It's just the way.
Yeah.
But that's
just the way of things, really. And it's just.
Yeah. Sorry, I just want to quickly read the super chat. Reginald D. Rose, thank you very much for your $5 super chat. Clarification: our eyedrop dispenser, raindrop from sky, fall from same height. Liquid versus pebble, dropped from same height. Solid, what lands first? This, I would think the one that has the better aerodynamics, the pebble. Same medium for both. Thank you very much for the $2 super chat as well. Yeah, I would say the pebble because of the aerodynamics. Because the eyedrop dispenser is not gonna be, and it's less dense as far as I know. It's like a feather. It's like comparing a feather and a bowling ball. Actually, it's got to do with the aerodynamics.
I made this point in the chat earlier before I got too triggered to join. The kind of the relative density differential between solids and liquids when taken out of resting equilibrium, i.e. you pick it up, the differential between that and the medium of a gas is so extreme that you're not going to measure the differential in terms of acceleration rate. What you are able to see is the effects of exactly that aerodynamics, and that's the differentials you'll look up and pick up. And that relates to D. Rose's point. If you look at these things, you've got something that's eyedrop dispenser. You've got a little bottle, I assume, you drop in, and then you've got a liquid that in of itself isn't going to hold together because of the aerodynamic forces being applied to the liquid, which isn't bonded in the same way as a solid. they're only sat on top of each other. Yeah. So if something disrupts that, they can separate. The opposite being a gas, which is entirely separated. There's nothing connected. But a liquid is slightly different not because of relative density disequilibrium, but because of aerodynamics. That's the effect you're seeing there.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. I mean, like I was saying, one thing I've realized, I don't know if you guys have realized, especially on the globe side, they don't understand the difference between phases. They don't understand a difference between gas, liquids, and solids. Like when they come and they make strawman arguments like, oh, why isn't this brick going through a polystyrene floor? You understand? It's like it's denser, but it's not going through. It's like it's a solid, for Pete's sake. Do you understand the difference? And I think that's also, they don't understand the differences from phases because they're so blinded by they need gravity to exist. They'll really bring nonsensical arguments to the table, even though it's a very stupid question. Hey, Faciality, thank you very much for your $2 super chat. If rain fell left, the grass would never grow. Funny thing is, if there's wind, it does go left at an angle, but it still goes down. But thank you for the super chat, mate. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, they just ask nonsensical questions to try and obfuscate from the point, being very concise, because it's a very concise explanation. Up and down is just due to the relative ratios, the density ratios, and that's as simple as that. Do we know why? No, because it's a natural tendency, it's natural law. That's why we have up and down. It's relative. But do we need to go and say why it must go left or right? No. The reason we need to apply a force to go left or right is because it has inertia, as they say. So you have to apply a force to get it to move. So when you pick up an object and you drop it, it's forcing itself through the medium if it's denser. That's why there's a force attributed to it, because it's got a differential difference. It's free falling, you could say. Hey, Dr. Hume, good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Glad you could make it. Trinity 4. 1 kilogram lead ball versus 1 kilogram polystyrene ball. Dropped off Leaning Tower of Pisa. Will they strike the ground same time? Definitely not. Definitely not.
But why? Because of aerodynamics.
Mm-hmm.
How big will that polystyrene ball be?
Exactly. Okay, I don't know if...
How much surface area? Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, let's take racing cars, for instance. You want it to be as light as possible. But the problem is you have to put your wings to make it as much as downforce as possible as well. So you have to have a middle ground. You can't make a car too light or it's going to flip over, because it's just going to be, the air resistance is just going to be too great and it's going to flip it over. Or you can't make it too heavy, because then you're not going to have you can have too much friction. It's the same thing. You have to have a middle ground based on the aerodynamics of a object.
Drag and lift.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's like an airplane wing, isn't it? That's the dynamics.
Bernoulli's,
drag and lift.
Yeah, it's Bernoulli's principle.
Right.
While it's forcing the pressure underneath, it's creating a low pressure that's helping it to lift.
Yeah.
Entropy, baby, entropy. SA man, good to see you, mate. Thank you for coming. Hey, we still got about an hour before the power goes off, 50 minutes, because the power's going off at 11. I didn't think we were going to go through the video so quickly, to be honest.
Yeah, you're going to, is that the whole lot?
That was
done completely.
That was him, yeah. I didn't think it was going to go that quick.
Yeah. Well, usually there's a lot more saying that. Usually there's a lot more that with the videos I've been watching lately. There's a lot more error in that, so you have to stop every 2 minutes, every 2 seconds.
Well, the one we want to touch on tomorrow from the answer in Genesis, it's again, I think, like an hour-long video. So at least we can
Okay.
get a few out of that.
Probably get 3 out of that. Well, it depends on how bad they are.
Yeah.
You might get a series again.
Well, I would love to see someone like this Professor Stick actually do a response video on this. So if you guys would be so kind as just to let him know, I did see his link in the description box. If you guys let him know, I did send you to tell him to come and check the stream out. And if he wants to come and chat sometime, it will be highly appreciative.
Yeah, man, I'll do that.
Yes.
Same drill as Barbarian.
Oh yeah, and Barbarian brought another video out today. Not Flat Earth though.
Oh, did he?
And he still hasn't replied to me.
No, I don't think he did.
Yeah, I think he's going to run away from...
Of course. He just wants to complain about it. He doesn't want to debate about it.
Exactly.
Okay, so that accelerating Earth up, did I miss it this whole time? Was with this, then they would have to admit that they believe that they're in space? Did I miss it?
They have to believe they're in space then. That's how it works.
Yeah, I'm saying, but did I not miss it? I mean, did I miss it? Did somebody else say this? Because this is the first time I'm hearing it. And
I don't know.
that they would have to concede that they believe that we're in space.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
why
absolutely.
even bring up this freaking upward moving Earth?
Exactly.
Why? Can't you have if you can get this fantastical to impose these kind of mechanics to generate a downward force, which I want to get onto this because Brian taught me a thing today.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to say, but I think I butchered it.
Well, no. The critique seems to be that you're going upwards. I heard water, but surely if you can get that fantastical, can't we have a magic dome, a snow globe accelerating upwards? That doesn't mean you have to put it in space, but that's not.
Where's it going to go then?
That's not the critique for me. What I learned today was what Brian was saying. This is relativity, Einsteinian relativity, that's describing this, which is where Flat Earth Society kind of hijacked the initial concept to use. But this is fundamentally relativity. But what I learned today was Brian was saying that, okay, so the only force that's happening is the Earth's going upwards. So it's the only reason that something reaches the ground is the Earth accelerating up. So if I pick something up and take it out of disequilibrium, it doesn't drop ever. It has no, and this is the fundamental point, it has no weight. It has no downward pressure, even whether you're a flat earther believing in what weight is as the convention it is, or if you believe weight is m times g. It has no relative state in this relativity because it's superseded by the fact that you're viewing it from a different reference frame. So all these forces are pseudo forces generated by the Earth coming up. So basically things would levitate. Things are levitating until the Earth reaches them. They don't, and this is there's no relative density disequilibrium to play out in this mathematics.
Yeah, but Adam, that's why I asked earlier as well. Let's take the neutral buoyancy of a helium balloon that's filled half air, half helium. Now it's floating, just in the same spot. Now, if the ground is the Earth is rising up towards the balloon. Is that mean the balloon is also rising with the Earth?
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
It's crazy. No,
Yeah, it causes more problems than the answers.
Exactly. And I still don't see why you would give them that snow globe in space anyway. And even if I said, okay,
That's
you
what I'm
don't,
saying.
but even if you don't,
kind man.
But I mean, even if you don't give them the space, let's say you give it to them like biblical cosmology, but you're just saying it's rotating up, so it's just waters. Why is it keeping the same accelerative unit? Why is it not speeding up? Just like you would take a basketball and stick it under the water, it will accelerate more the higher it goes up until it reaches terminal velocity. What would cause it to have terminal velocity in the first instance?
It's an acceleration. Now, if we're going to call it an acceleration and we say it's going up, to maintain that as an acceleration, it therefore has to accelerate. Therefore, the speed has to be increasing,
Exactly.
or a directional change. So
Exactly.
I was saying to Neil something, if I drop a cup of coffee this afternoon, then technically, because the Earth is accelerating upwards at 9.8 per second, then that coffee cup should drop faster next week, a lot faster. Yeah, it's 9.8 meters per second acceleration. That's the claim in relativity, and that's when it becomes even more farcical.
Yeah, exactly. But even like with the globe, with the expanding universe, entropy should be increasing at a rate that expanding faster and faster, because the wider the area is becoming, the faster entropy is supposed to be expanding. The gases are supposed to be being pulled out even faster, and this is not happening. It's crazy. There's just too much holes in having this universe as a vacuum or expanding anything as space. Space as itself violates everything we know in nature.
I'm stuck on this space thing. Whoever says the Earth is accelerating up, I'm telling him you're a glober.
Look, I wouldn't have a problem if the physics made some sense. I wouldn't have a problem with saying, "Oh, that's a possibility that you could conceptualize and not overly prove or disprove if that's the way God set it up." But it isn't. I don't need to criticize it in space. I'm criticizing it from the fact that listen to the mechanics of what's being described. It doesn't describe reality. It doesn't describe helium balloons. It can't even cope with a helium balloon. That mathematics. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, we went over with QE today, right? Didn't we go over Dell's little demonstration, whatever that was?
But I mean, let's also take it this way. Let's take a helium balloon, for instance. If the Earth is rising upwards and you let go of a helium balloon and it goes up, that means it's accelerating at a faster rate than what the Earth is accelerating upwards.
Yeah, of course.
It would have to be, right?
Yeah, of course.
But remember, in this paradigm, nothing has weight or mass. Everything just levitates until the Earth catches up for it. That's the description.
That's right.
So how can it go up unless it's under the same force as the accelerating Earth? It's just, you see what I mean? It can't describe reality.
No, of course.
Exactly.
So when people come up with this, do they even think about it first?
No. Or
they
do.
Just, make shit up.
Or they do, but they ignore the consequences.
Yeah. They just think, oh, this solves that, but they don't think about what about this over here. You know what I mean? They just think, oh, that sounds good.
But that's the bottom line. That's what they're trying to do, right? They're trying to solve for gravity, because I always hear Whitsitt say that. Gravity not needed. See? It all works. So they're always trying to come up with an answer for gravity that don't even exist.
Yeah.
Issa, man, actually got a thing from check this. Can you guys see my screen?
Aye.
Since air is a gas, and yes, Archimedes' principle can be used independently of gravity. Whoopsie. An apple not being supported by the fluid of air that falls in the ground is explained by the Archimedes principle. Archimedes' principle can be used independently of gravity. It states that the body, wholly or partially immersed in a fluid, is buoyed upward by a force equal to the weight of the fluid displaced by the object. Therefore, an apple not being supported by the fluid of air that falls to the ground can be explained by Archimedes' principle. The apple is denser than the air, so it falls through the air until it hits the ground. This is Simon saying the AI, chatbot, said you don't need gravity for Archimedes' principle. Yeah. Remember, Archimedes' principle came 1,900 years before gravity was even postulated. You don't need gravity. They just place gravity in everything. That's why when they bring up that equation and they have G there, just because you place G in there doesn't mean that's the cause for the acceleration. That is just affirming the consequence.
So this was before gravity?
Yeah, Archimedes' principle came long before gravity was even postulated.
And
So
poor
does that
Newton.
mean gravity didn't exist? A bit like, you know, when they went through the Van Allen belts and it didn't hurt them because they didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got an interesting thought on with their Van Allen belts. How do you guys know of any glass that protects from radiation?
You have to put gaffer tape on it.
Because think about it, they supposedly wore spacesuits. Their helmets had glass in. Their space shuttle had glass in. So far, I know radiation goes through glass. So how did it protect them?
Doesn't lead protect you from radiation?
No, because
at least that's what they tell me.
There's very little radiation in an airplane hangar in Nevada.
Exactly. And not to mention also glass, at what temperature does it melt?
Got to get Brian for that. He's the temperature guy.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
About 500.
Yeah, and when you go through the thermosphere, it's already what, 2,500?
Yeah, that's like that.
Flatzoid, it was special glass.
It's very special. Well, look at the. We love doing this.
Like the magic speed.
Very tempered glass. Tempered.
Well, Neil, I love bringing this up. They spent $1 billion to make cable ties for the Mars rover. Tell me what cable tie, which is still plastic, and you spent $1 billion to manufacture, can withstand anything that the environment that they're giving is supposedly can withstand.
I'll tell you what, mate. Give me $1 billion and I'll give you a cable tie that you can't test.
Exactly. I mean, if people can't see $1 billion to manufacture a plastic cable tie, then you know they are far beyond. They're lost. If they can't see that's a scam, then they're lost.
The really special ones, though.
Yeah. Hey, and Dr. Rhinated, good to see you, mate. And Jonathan Clark, good to see you. Yes, Jonathan Clark, plenty of people survived being around Chernobyl for long periods, but it depends when Chernobyl you were and for how long exposure you had, and it had different effects with different things. So yeah, it's a total different equivalence of taking them through the so-called Van Allen radiation belts. But yeah, that's just begging the question. They did go to space in the first instance, guys.
Well, that's right.
Citation for the $1 billion cable ties. Okay, let's quickly go get it.
Where is that shuttle? Where is everything taking place anyway?
In Narnia.
Oh, okay.
No.
And you know what? The poor guy that gets the gravity ascribed to him said, "Do not ascribe it to me." What a shame.
There we go. Cable ties, the thin strips of plastic holding the 2.7 billion Perseverance rover together. But I want to find where it was with the cable ties. Because there was one that they actually said that they used $1 billion to manufacture those cable ties. It's crazy.
But that shows you how gullible people are.
Mm-hmm.
How many people believe that what they say is going on in NASA is going on? They still believe there was a moon landing. Still believe that there's a car floating around in space. Still believe that there's a rover on Mars.
But I mean, look at even I think it was like last year or something when they had the so-called helicopter drone on Mars.
Oh yeah.
It's got no atmosphere, but yet it flies because the way they made the propeller. But you can't see anything tested in a vacuum here.
No, exactly. It's just ridiculous, isn't it?
I just saw a headline there.
Wait a second.
Yeah.
If they got an atmosphere, then at least they're ahead of people on Earth that think there's an atmosphere.
That's right. That's right.
This smells like a problem reacting thing. I just saw a headline there that says even the Mars rover has cable ties. Probably just like it has hamsters and stuff on the surface, yeah. So somebody spotted something. Oh look, there's a cable tie, just like I joked about gaffer tape. So it's kind of like defense mode, isn't it? Suddenly, no, they're not cable ties. They're $1 billion space cable ties.
Yeah, here we go.
Now carry on. You know, we are on Mars.
Cable
Yeah, of
ties were
course.
born in the aviation history of the 1950s. NASA's Mars Prevent rover is equipped with tie wrap cable ties from ABB. Thomas Brett, which is now ABB Installation Products Division, were manufactured in an aquamarine color to differentiate them from standard cable ties.
That's what makes them. That makes them more expensive because they're aqua.
No, why would you do that? So they can't be seen when you're filming underwater.
Yeah, that's how I was gonna do the same thing.
ETFE.
Underwater.
They say ETFE is a melt processable copolymer tested for physical durability and resistance to chemicals, UV extreme temperatures, and 2,000 times more radiation than the nylon used in standard cable ties, able to withstand the rigors of space and planetary exploration. Okay, let's see what is the environment on Mars.
Did you say space and planetary exploration?
That's what they say.
Exploration? How do they know that?
They watch Star Trek.
I said earlier, give me $1 billion and I'll give you some cable ties that I guarantee when you get into space, they will work. They'll be good. Guarantee it, mate.
Well, if
It won't let you down.
Well, if you're going to use a copolymer, then it's going to work, yeah.
Exactly. Big chemical words means space exists.
Has these guys ever heard of outgassing? Have you guys ever stuck a piece of plastic or even metal in a strong enough vacuum? It starts degassing, it outgasses. As all those in between layers. I mean, you, Adam, you working with chemicals and stuff. You understand that you've seen under a microscope how the distances of, it looks almost like flakes in metals. Like the gradings of metals, they have different spacings in between them. Now, when you put in a vacuum, it pulls out those gases, the degassing, and it sort of wants to fuse together. Now, if you have to do that with plastics and polycarbs and stuff, it has to degas as well, and it would make it brittle, and it would just break. There won't be any flexibility, so it will just break.
It's not just gas, is it?
Nope.
It's water as well. Like, Tesla car in space.
Oh, yeah.
Think about what should have been happening to that dashboard.
Oh, yeah. Everything.
You know what I mean? That degassing should have just destroyed it.
Everything. It's crazy. I still want to any amateur astronomer would please show me some sort of satellite in space, because if they are able to get us these planets that are trillions of miles away and stuff, why can't they bring us a photo of a satellite in space? I mean, it should be one. I mean, when you ask the actual companies, aerospace companies, to ask why you can't, they just, oh no, it's just not viable to do it because it's got a different function. So then why can't the natural astronomers here on Earth that have these brilliant telescopes to see things trillions of miles away, why can't they see the satellites in space?
Exactly.
Sorry guys, give me 2 minutes. I just have to hop to the bathroom. Talk amongst yourselves.
Michael disappeared, is he? I thought Michael was still here, but he's obviously disappeared.
Where's Neil when you need him?
He's definitely here. He's muted, but he's definitely here.
Somebody calling me?
There he is. They just needed you to fill in the blanks, you know what I mean? Because Flats is going to see. I think Adam just wanted you to talk.
What took us on? I went sideways with the space claim, but we were talking about something else actually before, and I forgot what that was, which was more pertinent, I think, to the.
No, you know why? Because we don't get to do this on Nathan's show. We don't get to talk about space. Where's that? In Narnia? Oh, okay. So then space talk is over. So we have some liberties here.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we understand that space is fake. It's not like we are fighting any globers at the moment. They've lost. So we'll just make fun of their religion. That's all.
Yeah, we sometimes have NASA space make fun shows, don't we?
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, it's all right, man.
That was a really quick pee.
Oh,
My
yeah.
dog pees slower than that. You got a bucket next to you or something, Flatzoid.
Well, I'm used to doing things quickly. Even when I eat, it's like quick. I mean,
Wow.
when I was younger, because my dad was in the army, so I was like an army brat. We moved around a lot, and I was used to also with my soccer. We had to do everything quick. Even today, I just can't eat slow. So when we're eating, and even we go to a restaurant, I find myself sitting there watching everybody eat because I've eaten already.
Yeah, me too. But I got a goal in sight. I eat through the meal to get to the dessert.
No, I just can't do things slow. It's just not in my nature. So Huli, I see you off mute. Is your mic working?
It's flicking on and off, so I
probably
think
doesn't work. Oh man. Well, I hope you do get your mic sorted someday. It's good to have you on, Huli. Thank you for coming anyway. And Matt, you've been very quiet tonight. But I think Matt's busy with his children, so.
yeah, I think he did try and come on a few times because I heard a little bit of the background noise. So yeah, he's probably busy.
Because he's still got about a half an hour. We can probably do maybe 25 minutes max. So tomorrow night, Neil, we're gonna tackle some more flat Earth Bible deniers. Well, Bible cosmology flat Earth deniers.
That's the show for tomorrow night.
Yeah, they will do that tomorrow night again.
Cool.
The guys from Answers in Genesis, trying to show us the Bible doesn't teach a flat Earth.
Oh yeah.
It's hard to know what it teaches. I don't think it's a book that purposely goes out to describe the nature of the Earth. But what it doesn't do is permit a ball in the descriptions it gives you and the intonations from that, and just the logic. That's the farcical thing.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's not like flat Earth textbook, is it? It just implies it supports flat Earth. You know, there's no way it supports a globe in there.
Exactly. Original D Rose. The link for Element. We're in Element. We're not in Discord. Is in my description box. I just want to pause it here quickly if it's going through.
Oh yeah.
There we go. Let me just get it for you. Show more. Element there. No, that's tip. Twitch VPN. Why can't I find it? There we go. Element.
You got it. I was going to say, I'll go and get it if you want.
There we go. There we go. Thank you very much. I'm gonna. So if you guys want to come in and chat, yeah, Element is the way to go, guys. It's just a bit more stable than the Discord, and the sound quality is much better. So that's why we're on Element.
It's easy to use as well. Like, it's user friendly.
Oh yeah. So yeah, there's the link. Thank you very much for your super chat, D-Rose. Really appreciate it, mate. It's sad that we don't get any Globers trying to come in to defend their nonsense.
No. Only when they've got like 5 backing them up. Like when they ganged up on you a couple of Mondays ago.
The problem is there's 50 strong over at Gem Pandas.
Oh, yeah. I don't even go there because as soon as you just try say something, they just start swearing and going crazy and ad homing, and it's just not worth it.
But what's his name is there, right? Who I can't. Oh, what do I? Oh, who's the one with a gas pressure that exists? Who's that again?
Spurs Chemo.
Spurs is in there, right?
Yeah, he's always there.
He's always in there breaking their chops.
Yeah, I haven't heard of Spurs in a while, to be honest. So I wanted to say something and I totally forgot what I wanted to say. But yeah, guys, if you want to join,
that's Michael's fault.
Michael, he's not even here anymore, is he? It's Michael's fault. That's brilliant. We'll tell him tomorrow that it's his fault.
Oh yeah, that's what I want to say. Dave McKeegan wants to debate me.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah,
that should be fun.
So
Wait a second, Dave Triangles with McKeegan, or do we change his name to Triangles McKeegan?
Triangles, yeah.
Federico Alexis.
He actually wants to debate me. I'm so surprised. I mean, didn't he humiliate himself enough last time when he came on Craig's show to try and talk about angular resolution, and he made my point?
He did, yeah, that's right. Came on specifically to talk to you as well. It was fun.
Don't put him off.
No. I want him to. Yeah, please, Dave, just still come talk to me. Because as we all know, Dave is a hectic component for the moon landings were real. And while apparently he doesn't like my presentation I did that the moon landings were fake.
Well,
that's a line I draw, right? When I'm talking with real people, not on the internet. If you start with the point about moon landings and they're adamant, right? I don't engage in any kind of concept, because even if you believe in space, the moon, seriously, look at it. Have a double take, son. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, that's what me and Michael said a few months ago, wasn't it? That when I found out, when I believed that the moon landings weren't real, I still believed in space. It was just definitely moon landings weren't real. Yeah. But yeah, space still existed to me after that. Like
my wife, I mean, she's not a flat earther. She says to me as well, she's never believed the moon landings were real. Still doesn't. It's idiotic. Even when I was a globe earther, I also thought it was idiotic. I was like, just too much inconsistencies. I mean, look at even the environment the equipment had to work on. The camera alone just has too much issues to contend with.
Aye.
And like I brought up with that debate with that other McCraven, Mordick, whatever his name is. How would you get a person that has never used a professional film camera like the Hasselblad before, strap it to his chest? He can't really aim it properly, see properly through a sight, and then go and do professional photographs in an environment that works against every single thing that he had trained for on Earth. And then when you ask, okay, where is this documentation he actually used it on Earth? Where's those photos so you can compare it? There is none. Why? Because if they had to show you their practice film, you would see they couldn't get it focused. They wouldn't be able to get it aligned. They wouldn't be able to get anything right. And that was in an environment that's not said to be on the moon, you could say. And I mean, that would be even worse. I mean, just the backing plate alone, by changing the film on the moon, would destroy everything. The whole deal. There would be no photos to take.
Do you think he had to wind it on? You know, I'm a kid of the 70s. You know, you took it and they go get round to the next shot. Like, can't wind it anymore. Right, I'm ready to go.
No,
Yeah, because those gloves were nice and dainty. They could do that with them gloves.
No,
Yeah.
No,
Do loads of stuff with them
you
gloves.
see, the problem they had with that though is they had, because if you work with a film camera, you know it's got like a backing plate kind of thing, so it's got to close for the exposure. As soon as they take that backing plate, you know, to change the film, it exposes it to the vacuum and to all that lunar dust that they said is so bad for the astronauts. I mean, the astronauts apparently were complaining the lunar dust was getting through their spacesuits. Now,
yeah, it does irritate you when you get cement all over your skin and that, you know.
I'm gonna say 15 million metric tons of Portland cement is everywhere.
Yeah,
when you dump it in an air hangar. Yeah.
But I mean, if they're going to have that and you're going to change film, imagine trying to change film and there's just all this fine dust anywhere, and you're in a vacuum, and there's radiation, and the temperatures are beyond what you can handle, and you can't see what you're doing, and your hands are so, you know, like dumb because you've got such thick gloves, and you can't move your arms properly, you can't see what you're doing, and you still get perfect photos.
Yeah, that's it.
And if not, right, you take solace in taking the moon buggy and going for a quick game of golf.
Exactly.
After building it with them gloves and everything.
Exactly. It's crazy. I mean, yeah, what was it? There was a video that came out or something where the guy had said he had the contract, or his dad had the contract or something with the cement for the studios in filming those shots. Why would they need cement trucks with dry cement in a studio at the time of the moon landings? What also bothers me is, do you guys know how much VFX and film studios NASA owns today? I think they own like 21 companies, all just for dedicated to special effects and video and movies. I mean, they co-helped the movie Gravity.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Weird why a space agency would need to be so heavily invested into VFX and movie industry. I mean, I don't see why you would need that. If you were just interested in having VFX for a company to say, okay, just to make it look pretty, you know, for presentation, you wouldn't need 21 companies, would you?
No.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Faciality again, $2 super chat. Thank you very much. Says, to think a manned craft moving 17,500 miles per hour equals ludicrous. Yeah, it is ludicrous. There's so much things we can bring up that's wrong about just the rocket launch alone. Think about the G-forces you would face going up with that rocket.
Yeah.
I mean, if you going, let's say, in a car, I mean, what's the fastest accelerating car you guys have driven in before?
Well, I mean, I've never gone past 120 in a car.
Okay, I learned to drive in my dad's Superbus, so I was clocking like 260. So
no, I've never been past 120.
260 kilometers. So that was
I'm on about miles. I'm on about miles per hour.
Miles, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the acceleration.
Right, yeah.
And I mean, if you push a car from standstill, you feel how it pushes you back in the seat.
Of course.
I mean, let's say you climb in a GTR, for instance, and you put foot. Your chest feels like it's crushing you almost. Now, that's not even close to what they're supposed to be experiencing on that shuttle launch. Signal step, G-force is just the word given for your fluids trying to catch up with the acceleration. You're just saying there's no such thing as G, but yeah, we're just saying G-force because it's understandable to explain what it is like you trying to stay behind while you're moving forward. because your fluids in your body still have to try catch up with your body as you're accelerating upwards. Now let's take that and we take a person accelerating upwards in a rocket for 2 minutes long with that amount of G. You would probably die because you're going to starve your internal organs of the needed blood supply. By the time you finally get up there, you're either going to, if you survived, you would be a potato because nothing would function like it needs to function. Yet, look how comfortable they sat in the rockets. Not a single worry. It's just all beautiful, lying there, all relaxed. And the sound, I think they said the sound from those F1 rockets is 7 times louder than the speed of sound that your ears can take or something. So they should all be deaf.
Yeah.
And yet they never had any ear problems, nothing. LSG, I am the G-force. Yeah, G-force is just a comparison to 9.8 meters per second squared. Exactly. Well, we cannot call it not G-force. What can we call it then? The density force. I don't know.
Oh, sorry, LSG. I just realised you said hello. Hiya.
So yeah. Okay, so I guess that's the stream, guys.
Yeah, it went quite quickly.
It did. We had a nice discussion, at least at the end of the day as well.
The video flowed a bit easier than a lot of the videos in the past. So I think that's maybe what made it go quickly.
Yeah, Signastep, I kind of said that wrong. 7 times louder than the speed of sound. I don't know. Yeah, came out wrong. I'm trying to think what the right wording is. 7 times louder than what your ears are supposed to take. Something like that. It was reference to the speed of sound when you hit the sound barrier. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, it makes sense in a nonsensical way. You know what I mean? I understand that. Yeah, now I get what you meant.
I mean, look at the background I'm having, guys. I'm supposedly flying 17,500 miles an hour.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, guys, thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. Thank you for the panel. It's good to have you guys on.
No problem.
It was a good show. Please, guys, don't forget to go and let Professor Stick know to watch the stream or to come and talk or something.
Absolutely.
Please let him know Flatzoid sent you.
I will.
And then I want to say thank you to everybody for sending the super chats, hitting that like button, and sharing the show. It really, really is awesome. Hey, Blue Paul, good to see you. You just got you as we're closing off. Sorry, because I have to close off because the power's going to go off soon. Unfortunately. And it's good to see
Brenda's in chat as well.
Oh, poor Brenda. And then we got someone in Twitch as well. So thank you for joining on Twitch. It's good to see at least one person there. If you guys didn't know, I am on Twitch as well. So if you do have Twitch, please hit me up and follow me there. So yeah, again, see you guys all tomorrow night. Tomorrow night we're going to have another Bible-based stream because it's another Christian apologist claiming that the Bible doesn't teach flat. So,
that's nice.
I enjoy those streams though. I think it's something that needs to be discussed more often.
I agree.
Definitely.
I said earlier, I'll be interested to see what Danny, because if you're going to use scripture for that purpose to kind of demand you make a statement, I said we can look at it and there's there's nothing there that contradicts a flat plane. That, in fact, there's lots that supports it. You know, even in Revelation, there's when Christ returns, the fact that everybody's seeing it supports a flat plane rather than a ball. But I'll be very interested to see if he can use any scripture to support a ball. I'm at a loss to think what he's going to do, other than probably just standard baller tactics, which is just to attack flat Earth, not present his own argument.
Yeah, well,
I mean, they're guaranteed to use the circle of the earth thing, you know, Isaiah.
Yeah, but I mean, look at that born again barbarian guy. He actually brought up Genesis 1 and just said, "Oh no, but the moon is referencing us, and it's reflecting the light of the sun." Yeah, making his own doctrine, totally going against what the Bible says. But yeah, but it'll be interesting to see what the guy said. There's a stream I watched today. Actually, I was listening to. I didn't listen to it right through. Also, an apologist that's trying to explain the different scriptures on why it's not flat Earth. But that one's, I don't think is stream material. I think that's more of a video material because I got to go very in depth with that video. So I think that one I'm going to hold for actual video because it's going to be quite a few part series because it's an hour long as well. But I think that one I'm going to do videos because then I can go through the scriptures as well in depth and see, because he's also going into context, which is actually very good. And I was agreeing with a few things he did say though. So yeah.
Cool.
Okay, but yeah, thanks all guys for coming. Thank you for being here. Sorry again, Blue Paul, that you came late. Cheers guys. So we'll see you guys all tomorrow night. Many, many blessings and may the pressure be with you. Cheers.